What's up, Girl Defined Sisterhood?
Hey.
Thanks so much for joining the conversation today. It is Kristen and Bethany. And as always, if you like this channel, give us a thumbs up. We post new videos every single week. And if you want to support our channel and help us continue on in what we're doing, we would so appreciate your support. You can click the link below at patreon.com/girldefined.
All right, so statistics show that most people at some point in their life end up getting married. And it's so no secret. Just look around and you're like, okay, at some point most people end up kind of getting into a relationship, getting married, and kind of starting that season of life. Obviously, we've emphasized on that on our channel that should not be the main focus of a single woman's life. It should not be like, okay, I need to get married because then my life will start. We can thrive and serve God and live to the fullest before, and maybe that God won't have that for you. So that could be, you could be single forever. But according to statistics and according to God's amazing design, he does have it designed where many people will get married. So we thought it would be really fun to sit down and share with you, as married women now, looking back when we were single, some of the qualities that we were looking for in a future husband, because you do want to be wise. You do want to be discerning. When that guy comes calling and says, hey, I want to take you out, you don't want to be like, wait, should I go out with you? Should I not? You should at least have some sense of like, what am I looking for in a guy? And
what kind of guy do I want to marry? And,
yeah, like, do you fit any of that? So we're just going to share of the few of the things that we were looking for.
But before we get into the qualities that we noticed in our husbands, which weren't our husbands at the time, when we were single, before we get into that, we want to share with y'all just some fun facts about our husbands and things that you might not know about them. So I'm married to Zach. A lot of y'all know that. And something about him is that he is a total city boy now. Like, works in the city. We live in the city. We do so much in the city. But he is a total country boy at heart. Like, he grew up in the country. He loves all things country. And if he could have his dream life, I think one day it would be driving like a massive truck, living in the country, and just like having like dirt on his tires all the time. So that's something funny. And then another thing a lot of people don't know is that he is actually one of the worship leaders at our church, which is so cool because that was an opportunity that we never, like, he never really had until we joined this church plant, and they were in need of musicians. He's like, I can play guitar and I can kind of sing, and they're like, you'll work. And so he's been kind of learning and growing, and it's really fun to get to see him up there just serving God.
Hey, and you play the keys sometimes.
And sometimes I get on that keyboard. I'm still learning in that, but it's fun. We get to do it together. And then the last thing, which is so random and I think hilarious, is that Zach is really passionate about me having like really pretty nails. Like, he just
and they're not painted, right?
They're not painted because he loves it so much, and he's always like, oh, like, you should do your nails, and you can see that I could care less about it. And so he actually learned how to paint nails because he was like, well, if you don't care about it, maybe I can help you. And so he literally will, like, on date nights, he'll paint my nails for me. He even bought a shellac set and like with the gel nail set and like the whole like dryer thing and everything, and the heat lamp, and he does my nails. So if I ever have pretty nails, it's thanks to Zach.
So some fun facts about my husband, Dave. I guess they're not all so fun, but he is younger than me and he is shorter than me.
That's fun. Woohoo!
So that's fun. It's actually hilarious though, because at our church, there are actually quite a few couples where the wives are taller than the husbands.
I love it.
We're like all
It's so
together,
cute.
like a little club. Another thing, if you've watched any of our story at all, you know that Dave loves to play the ukulele, and he thought it was kind of like a random skill. And then when we kind of started getting to know each other, I was like, I really liked it and I would always comment on it. So now it's become a huge part of our relationship. He played it when he proposed. He played it at our wedding. He played it to announce our baby announcement. Like,
he played it at the GirlDefined conference.
He played it at the GirlDefined conference. So I love it. And then some people always ask us, like, what does Dave do for work? And so he is a motion graphic designer. It's really confusing. It's basically like he takes graphics and then makes them animated and move and does all sorts of stuff like that. It's way over my head, but yeah, that's what he does.
Now for the qualities. But before we dig into those, I just want to say a quick disclaimer for all of us. Like, this was us back in the day. It's easy for us and especially if you're a single Christian girl, to have a whole list of like, okay, like a godly man and things that could be really good. But so often we make this big list, right? About like this perfect guy. And then we forget to check our own hearts and actually measure that list against ourselves. Like, well, do I have these qualities? Am I pursuing the Lord? Do I love people? Like, we need to first make sure that we are pursuing the Lord and that these things are true in our own lives. And then, in a sense, like, a godly man is going to be attracted to those godly characters. So some qualities that I noticed in Zach when I was single and I met him, a few of the qualities were, one of them was that he was a total let's go type of leader. Like, I remember when I first met him, he was leading this whole game. Remember, you were there.
I know.
And he was like facilitating this whole group of like, they were playing some sport, and I was like, man, that guy's in charge. Like, he's leading, and he was like really nice and kind, but like totally like a let's go type of leader. And that quality is really attractive to me. I love a guy that's like, let's go. And then you're like, I need that because I'm kind of like a let's go kind of girl, and he's like a let's go kind of guy. So that was really attractive to me. And then, of course, the most foundational is that I was really admired that he was a genuine godly Christian. So a guy who genuinely loved the Lord for himself, a guy who went to church not because he was forced to by his parents, but actually cared about these kind of things, who read his Bible on his own, who prayed. Like, his faith was his own, and that was evident and obvious. And so, of course, that was a huge must for me. I also really liked that he was and is super outdoorsy and active. I love the outdoors. We grew up camping, so like the outdoors was kind of ingrained into our lives. Even though we lived in the city, we loved getting out there. We
loved driving out to the country.
I know. So this isn't like a spiritual quality. I think there's a lot of qualities we can admire and appreciate about people. And I just love that he was like all about hiking and camping and fishing and like all the things. And I love all that kind of stuff and have learned to love it even more since marrying him. So that was something I was like, I like that. Some girls might not like that. I really like that. And then another thing is that I really appreciated that as we got into our relationship, I could tell that he really cared about me as a person and as a woman and as a human. And he wasn't just in it for like the relationship status or like, oh, that girl's cute, I'm going to get that girl. I mean, we can have selfish motives for being in relationships with people. And I felt like he was a genuine person who cared about my heart and my soul and like who I was all around and like who Christ said I was. And that was really attractive to me. And then the last thing I just want to say is something that was really attractive that was hard at first because I didn't know, like, I mean, I won't go into our whole story, but he wasn't like really speaking up at first and it was hard for me. And then I realized later on that he was really respecting his dad, who was like, hey, maybe try to finish school, maybe try to like save some money before you pursue this girl. And I realized like, wow, this guy has a really humble heart. Like, he was willing to listen to feedback and like the people he valued in his life. He was like, wow. So I don't know, just his humility and willing to be like open to counsel from those who are older than wiser than him and not be like a hot shot, like prideful, like, oh, I've got it, I'm going to do it my way.
Totally.
That was super attractive to me.
All right. So some of the qualities that I was hoping and praying for in a husband, and when I met Dave, I was like, oh yeah, was that he had a fun personality and good humor. And Dave has that. If you've ever seen him, you know he's got a fun personality and good humor. And I don't know, I have a big personality and I like to laugh, so I think people thought I'd like the opposite, but I was like, no, I want someone who can out-fun me and out-humor me. And I absolutely loved that about him because I love to laugh. Of course, a quality that I saw in Dave that I definitely was a must also was a genuine relationship with God. And I think there are so many people that do go through the motions, and that's a temptation that we can all fall into, of just going through the motions, going to church, even like playing in a band or looking the part or, you know, leading something at church, but we don't genuinely have a true relationship with God. We just kind of grew up in it or we're going through the motions. And I really appreciated that Dave, he was making it his own and his faith was his own and he was choosing these things for himself. It wasn't just because of his family or whatever. And so I really appreciated that. Another quality that I knew I probably needed in a future husband, because I'm not the best at this, was a peacemaker. So someone who isn't like easily offended and like, oh, look what your mom did, or look what your sister did, or your brother, whoever, you know, like, can you believe it? You know how there's like people that stir up strife or try to get drama or whatever it is. I was hoping and praying for someone who would be a peacemaker, who would bring unity, more unity to our family, unity to friendships. And that's
resolving conflict.
That's totally Dave. And so
he's been good for our relationship.
I know. It's like he comes over and
our
he brings
sister
peace.
Relationship.
Another thing that was really important to me was a pure heart that wants to honor God. So at the heart level, it kind of goes into the genuine relationship, but really like, what is his heart like before God? And is he in the private, secret areas of his life? What is he doing? Does he want to honor God in those areas? And that's honestly one of the things that attracted me to Dave so much, was that as I got to know his heart, I really saw, wow, he has a pure heart before the Lord, in the sense that he really desires to honor and to glorify God on his own, even when no one is looking. And so that was highly attractive to me. And then the last thing that's just kind of random is the fact that Dave is spontaneous and random. And a little weird. I'm a little weird and I'm spontaneous and I'm random. And so finding someone who can be spontaneous and random and weird with you is great. Like, I love someone who can out-weird me, you know? Like, I want to know that I can be as weird as I want, like, in the sense of, like, oh, you know, just, like, crazy stuff. Like, you want to make a weird face. You want to, like, act kind of strange. And you just want someone who can be strange with you. And so that was Dave. And I was like, I have found my match. So it's like, wow, God can create that person knowing with you in mind.
So for all of our single Christian sisters out there, we hope this was encouraging, helpful, a little insightful. That's obviously not everything we could ever say on this topic, but it is important. If you're like, yeah, one day I do want to get married, as you get to know guys, as you're in relationships, to really have an evaluation of like, okay, is this someone that I would want to marry? Do they have qualities that God would call a man to have? And is this a guy that I could see myself spending the rest of my life with, based on these things that are really important to me? And then also making sure that those things that are important to you for that guy are also true for yourself. That before the Lord, you're checking your own heart for all of us, right? And making sure that we are living up to those things that are super important, at least that we're saying on paper. I'm going to link a blog post below if you're like, I need more specifics. Like, how do I discern if a guy really has godly character or not? Like, how can I know this? Well, the Bible does not leave us hanging. In fact, God gives us so many helpful verses and scriptures and places where we can go to, and we compiled all of it into one really easy to read blog post that's literally all about how to discern a guy's character. So I'm going to link to that below. I really encourage you to check it out.
As usual, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe so you know when our videos come out, and link arms with us and support us on patreon.com/GirlDefined so you can see this channel continue on.
I want to say them all at once, but I don't know if I can remember them. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's good.
That's a quality. Does he work?
He works. No, not an all-in. I meant to say like a let's go type of leader.
I didn't know what an all-in leader was.
I got confused with our session on all-in for Christ. What?
I'm glad you didn't go to the whole story. But you don't have to meet more words and cram them all in. You could just say less words.
But I have more words to say, and I'd rather say them fast.
People already said that we talked fast, so.
How could I have said any of that any shorter without being like, what are you even talking about?